Good evening, everybody. My name is Mike Slater. You are in for a fantastic evening tonight. We're going to spend 90 minutes with the greatest businessman of our era, international icon, and the next president of the United States of America. First, though, he's the author of the newest book here, Crippled America, best book since Art of the Deal. Please buy one, not only for yourself, which you already did, that's why you're here, but buy as many as you can for your whole family and everyone you know. Great gift for Christmas. If for no other reason, you and we're all gonna make it #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. And what would tick off the New York Times and the left more than making this book #1 this week? So let's go ahead and make that happen. Let's buy as many as you can right now. Crippled America. Not only do you get this book, but you're one of the lucky few people to get it autographed by Donald Trump himself. Now, this is what we're gonna do tonight. We're gonna have a lot of fun these 90 minutes. On the website that you're watching this on right now, you can ask questions to Donald Trump. They're gonna go right to my computer screen right here, and we're gonna ask as many as possible tonight. Donald just flew in from DC. He was giving a big speech there. We're gonna learn all about that as well. But he's still made time for us tonight to sign all these books that you can buy right now. So send in as many questions as you can, and we'll get to them. And I promise by the end of the 90 minutes, you're gonna know a lot more about the man who promises to make America great again. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Donald Trump. Donald?
Hello, Mike. How you
How
doing?
are you, sir?
What a beautiful introduction that was.
How much fun is this?
It's great.
Thousands of people watching
Yeah,
right
the
now.
book has done so well and so great, and it's talking about, I don't want to be just a critic. I tell what's wrong, and I say, let's fix it and how to fix it. And a lot of business lessons in here, too, like the art of the deal. There are a lot of business lessons. And, our country is run very poorly by people that don't have it, and they truly don't. I mean, they're incompetent in many cases. And we talk about that, and we talk about how to fix our country, and a lot of business lessons. So it's sort of a combination of both.
These are the answers. I would say anyone who's maybe critical of someone's support of you, this is the book you got to hand to them. This is the book. You say, hey, you don't know why I like Donald Trump? Here's why. Here's the answers. Here's the truth, and what Donald's going to do when he's president.
Well, we've had such incredible support. It's been incredible. And as you know, the book has done very well. And I haven't been able to take any time off. This is the first thing really of any magnitude that I'm doing.
Yeah.
And yet the book is a real hit. So I'm very honored by that. I haven't taken 3 weeks off of my campaign, as others have done. I'm here, and I'm very proud of the book. I think it's the hardest I've worked on a book since The Art of the Deal. The Art of the Deal, I really worked hard on the book, and it was, I guess, the #1 business book of all time.
Yeah.
This one is probably the one after that I worked the hardest on of all. I think I've written like 12 or 13, many bestsellers, but this is the one, other than Art of the Deal, this is the one I think I worked the hardest on.
When questions are coming in as they're coming in, can I ask you a question about Art of the Deal?
Absolutely,
This is
and
my
I'll
personal
sign.
question for you, Donald.
Okay, good, go
This is
ahead.
my personal question. So you talk about the Commodore, and the
Come
time
on.
that you bought the Commodore and renovated it and made it what it is today
Right.
was a dark time in New York City's history.
Dark.
People didn't have hope. How did you buy the Commodore and work through that for the sake of making New York City great again?
So I was born in Queens, and I worked in Brooklyn. And to me, Manhattan was always a big deal. Even though the city was really in trouble, it looked like it was going bankrupt. Ford said, go to hell, essentially. It was a big headline all over the world. But to me, Manhattan was like this great Shangri-La. It was this incredible place. So when I was negotiating for the Commodore and other things, I was working on it. I was very, very young. Maybe that's part of the problem, too. I didn't know any better. Sometimes it's good not to know. But I got tremendous approvals for the Commodore. I got tax abatements. I got so many different things, and it ended up working. I went to the bank across the street, Bowery Savings Bank, which, really had a big advantage in making it good because they owned across the street. And I got financing from them, and Equitable Life, who had a big investment in New York. And the city was going in the wrong direction, big league. And I made the deal, I closed the deal, I renovated the exterior of Grand Central Terminal as part of the deal, which I was always very proud of. And it became a tremendous success, ultimately selling it for a lot of money. But it became it was such a tremendous success. The day that deal closed and the day I started construction, the whole area went up. And it was just a great deal for me, and it was one of my really early deals in terms of Manhattan, certainly. And then I did many deals since then, Trump Tower and so many other deals. But it's been been a lot of fun.
Do you see a parallel between New York City then and America today? When it comes to
You
just
know, that's a
open-
very interesting. I don't think I've ever had that question before. Yeah, I guess you could see a real comparison. The United States, we have 19 trillion in debt. We're in serious, serious trouble. We're doing badly on every front. We're being laughed at by the Chinese, by the Japanese, by the Mexican. We're being laughed at by everybody. We don't know what we're doing. We have leadership that's terrible. They had leadership that wasn't so great, New York. Yeah, it's a very interesting. I have never been I've never seen that analogy before. That's a great analogy.
Well, you turned it around then, and I think you can turn it around.
Well, I think actually the United States is going to be easier to turn around in a certain way.
Why?
Well, because they make the money, whereas New York didn't have any money.
Yeah.
That's one big difference, I will say. But we think they're making too much money, and that's the problem. They
Yeah.
make too much money. They print too much money. So I think we'll do an amazing job. You know, we're leading in every poll, big league, and more polls are coming out tomorrow. I look forward to seeing them. CNN's coming out with a big poll, I think tomorrow. Others, I look forward to seeing. But every poll, we're both national and state. We're leading everywhere, so it's been a lot of fun.
I think the signing is going to help your polls, and then
Well, that
again,
could be.
when
That
people
could
buy
be.
these books and pass them out to people, that's when the
Well,
polls are
that's
going to
what
go
I'm-
up even more.
That's what we're doing. We're signing right here. Every book we're signing. So it's
Beautiful.
going to be a lot of books. I know we
Let's
sold a lot.
get some of our questions here. So we got a ton coming in. Please keep sending them in. We'll start off with Ron. Mr. Trump, you have some great ideas and solutions to guide the country back to greatness. However, with a historically lazy Congress, how do you plan to succeed where other presidents have failed?
Well, all of my life, I've worked very hard with politicians. I've dealt with politicians all of my life, and very successfully. I always say, if you can't deal with a politician, you've got yourself a problem, because they're not very tough. And you will see a great deal of cooperation. The other thing, we have a president that I don't think works very hard. I mean, he sort of admitted it himself. He doesn't work very hard. To lead, you have to work, and also to lead with, you have so many different people between the Senate, in Congress, Senate, and even outside there. You need to convince a lot of people to do things, not just sign executive orders. And I'm a worker. I've always been a worker. I work hard. And we have a president who just doesn't do it. So he has signed executive orders, not the way it's supposed to be done. I won't be signing too many of them, believe me. I'll get cooperation. You know, Ronald Reagan got it with Tip O'Neill. They were very much opposites in a certain way, but he got it with Tip O'Neill, and you watch what happens with me. We'll get a lot of cooperation. Our country doesn't win anymore, Mike. We don't win. We don't win with China. We don't win with trade. We don't win with ISIS. We can't even beat ISIS. There's no reason for this. We don't win anymore. We don't win at the border. We don't win anything. I mean, what have we won in the last many years? We're going to win so much. We're going to win a lot.
Yeah.
And that's what I talk about in the book.
Yeah. One way you've won, I know throughout the deal, throughout the entire book, you talk about leverage
Right.
and finding leverage against people. How can you find leverage against people in Congress? I don't want to say against, leverage with people in Congress and maybe internationally
Well,
too.
you find leverage because honestly, whether they're Democrat, whether they're Republican, they do want to see it all work. And it's amazing to me that there hasn't been, you know, I remember when I was younger, frankly, when I 15, 20 years ago, the Republicans and the Democrats would fight during the day, then they go out and have dinner together with their wives and their families. They'd have dinner together. I'd see it all the time. I mean, many, many times. I used to say, what are you two guys doing together? They loved each other. There was no problem. You don't see that anymore. There's hatred. The Republicans don't want to be seen with the Democrats and the other way around. We will bring people together. I'm a unifier. A lot of people think I've got a tough tone. Bush, I called him low energy. That's an understatement. He said his tone is tough. The truth is we need a tougher tone. They're chopping off heads in the Middle East, something you haven't seen, from the Middle Ages, right? Medieval times. They're chopping off heads. They're doing things that we haven't seen. You need a tough tone, but you need somebody that knows what he or she is doing, and you watch what's going to happen. You know, my whole life has been about winning. I mean, I've won a lot, and we're going to win for the country. I'm going to put whatever it is, that talent, and we're going to win for the country.
I think the best thing about Reagan is moral clarity,
Right.
and you as well. Talking tough, but coming together at the end of the day as well.
Reagan was good. He was a good man.
Yep. Let's see, Andrew here says, what are your plans to help those who graduated and have high student loan debt? Big one here, Bernie Sanders loves talking about free college. Mr. Trump, what do you think?
Yeah, and Bernie Sanders you're wasting your time even talking about him because frankly, he gave it away when he said to Hillary, you have no problem with email because she has a big problem with email, if they're honest. Now, it could be, I happen to think she's being protected by the Democrats. I happen to think that she may get away with, all of the illegality. It's been tremendous illegality. So she may get away with it, but Bernie Sanders wants to give everything away. But there is no giveaway because the other people paying the tax bill are going to be paying for it. With that being said, we have to do something to help the students. One of the biggest questions I get when I'm on the tour, I'm all over the place and I see a lot of students. One of the biggest questions I get is student loan. They're suffering. They are suffering. But part of the reason they're suffering is they have no jobs when they get out of college. So they go through college, they borrow up to here, they're heavily in debt. The government, one of the only programs where it actually makes money, because the students believe in paying off their loans, and they pay a high interest rate. And we're going to do something about that. And one other thing, if you look at colleges, why is it going up so fast? The reason it's going up so fast is because you have students getting government money and they're not watching their expenses, or they're watching them but not like they're supposed to be watching. Colleges are not being run properly from the standpoint of the student. And tremendous costs, probably tremendous salaries of presidents, et cetera, et cetera. You take a look at the presidents of colleges, they're making a fortune because the student loans are taking care of all of that.
Yeah.
So
Bureaucracy.
we're going to look at that because that's a big problem. We have to help the students, and we have to work on interest rates and other things so they get through. The biggest thing I can do is bring back the jobs from Japan and China and Vietnam and Mexico and everybody.
Yeah.
Because, Mike, everybody is ripping us. Every country is ripping us. And we're going to bring back those jobs. And when these students get out of college, they're going to get a good job. They'll pay off their, it'll be great.
Great.
The biggest problem they have is they have no job after they get out.
Sure. Absolutely. You mentioned motivation, and reminded me of the book. You said, my work ethic comes from my father. And then you went on and talked about the work ethic you taught your kids. You said, while my daughter Ivanka's friends were vacationing in the south of France, she was in New York working. And my sons claim that they're the only sons of a billionaire who know how to run a Caterpillar D10. Why'd you teach your kids work ethic?
Well, my mother was a very hard worker, too. I just realized I might have insulted my mother by saying that. No, my mother was a fantastic woman, and she was a hard worker. She had great imagination and a terrific woman. Yeah, I mean, I've always said that my children have to work, and they have to love what they do. If they didn't love what they did, I wouldn't want them in the business, but they've done a very good job. My older children are Ivanka, Don, and Erica. They're doing a very good job. I would tell my children from a very young age, no drugs, no alcohol, no cigarettes. In fact, I remember Ivanka, she was like just a very little girl. She says, Dad, you're driving me crazy. You always say that. I would just say it every week, 2-3 times a week.
Wow.
I don't even think they knew what drugs and alcohol were.
You don't drink.
I don't drink. I don't drink. I don't smoke. And no drugs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, pretty good. Pretty good. I have other problems, but we won't discuss them. But, well, it's helped me in life.
Yeah.
I mean, I have friends, they're fantastic people, but they have problems with alcohol, or they have problems even with cigarettes. I mean, I add cigarettes in because it's unhealthy.
Yeah.
The funny thing, Mike, if you don't start, you'll never want it.
Yeah.
It's the people that start. It's so hard to break away. Actually, alcohol is probably harder than drugs, they say. So if you don't start, there's no long. I tell the story. I was at the Wharton School of Finance. I had a friend. He hated the taste of scotch. Hated it. And he was a very, very smart guy. But he said, no, I want to develop. And we go at it. He'd be drinking scotch, and they go like, he is now a very serious alcoholic. And I'll never forget, I was a young guy. He was a young guy. Good students, greatest school, the Wharton School of Finance. And he is a total alcoholic now. And he hated it. And I, reminded him fairly recently. I said, I remember you sitting next to me saying how you hated the taste of scotch. And he said, I remember.
Wow.
He said, I like it now, but it's causing him some problem.
Yeah, way to protect your kids from that.
Yeah.
Let's keep the questions coming in here. And numbers they're flying in. We have thousands of people watching online right now. So thank you. You can tweet this out and get more people to get watching here as well. Because I don't know if I mean, no one's. Have you ever done an interview like this? Where
It's
you
the
can be this
craziest
honest?
interview I've ever done.
How great is
You know,
it?
he's a very successful interviewer, folks. I'll tell you what, he's a top guy in San Diego, and they must be paying you a lot of money.
I'm cutting you off, Donald. It's about you.
They must be
Tonight. It's
paying,
about you. I'm cutting
they
you
must
off.
be
sir. I
paying him a lot of
appreciate
money. He's a top guy.
Sir, I
So
appreciate
that's
it.
good. My honor.
Let's go to. It's a good one. This is from Dean. What will not only the citizens of the United States, but citizens around the world say about President Trump after your 8 years in the White House are over?
I think they'll say I did a great job. I think they'll say I put our country on another course, and a much better course, and a much safer course. They'll say I strengthened our military, I took care of our vets, I got rid of horrible health care. Obamacare will repeal it and we'll replace it with something that will be so good and so much less expensive for both the country and the people. You know, Obamacare, I don't know if you know, Mike, but it's a disaster. It's going up, the premiums are doubling. I mean, you have 35, 45, 55% increases. The coverage is horrible. The deductible is through the roof, so you're not going to even get to use it unless you get virtually wiped out. It is a very, very bad thing. Very few people are signing up. The wrong people are signing up. So what's happening with Obamacare is very sad, actually. But it was never any good. And smart business people, people that know, in 2017 it will implode. It's over. I mean, in fact, they're writing stories about it. It will implode. It's not a question of maybe. And the Republicans have to be strong and smart. And if we have the right president, hopefully that'll be me, we'll have something that will be so good. But Obamacare will end in 2017 because it's a financial
So
disaster.
the largest insurance CEO just the other day said we should have signed up for this thing in the first place, and we're getting out of it, as you said, by 2017.
And yet
So-
many insurance companies are making a fortune with Obamacare, different companies, because, and some do have to get out because it's a different side, but
Yep.
many are making a fortune. They were big contributors to Obama.
Yeah.
And insurance companies, actually, some of them are making a fortune with Obamacare.
One more quote here from Donald Trump's new book, Crippled America. He said, the one thing that you can be certain about is, unlike the Obama administration, I stand up for this country proudly and loudly, and I will be the greatest cheerleader of America, the America that won rather than that lost. More beautiful stuff out of the new book here. All right, let's get some more questions here. Let's go with, so many good ones. Dean, what is one greatest lesson in life that you have learned that has made you choose a different path?
Well, I mean, I've learned a lot of lessons. I will tell you, a lot of people and even fathers they said, would you meet my son or daughter who graduated from college or going to college? So many different lessons. But the one thing I tell people is you've got to follow what you love. You've got to do what you love. Because I've seen so many smart young people be forced by maybe parents or whatever into a field that they don't love or they don't even like. And they always fail. And I tell people, number one, you have to go with what you love. Because then you're not even working. You know, like, I very rarely take vacations. I love what I'm doing. People are amazed. They say, your energy, your everything. They're really amazed, but I like what I'm doing. Even, you know, this running I've been a politician for 5 months.
Yeah.
I actually enjoy it. I have the biggest crowds. Nobody's seen anything like it.
Yeah.
And it's very energizing to me. You have to, but I've loved the real estate business. I love doing the apprentice.
What do you love about it? What do you love about real estate?
Well, it's just the art of the deal. I mean, I love location. My father always used to say, and this sounds sort of strange because you would think it's obvious. It's not obvious. He would always say he has a great instinct for location. And he would always say that to people. And my father was in the real estate business in Brooklyn and Queens. And he'd say, my son has the greatest instinct for location. And I do. I have great locations. I mean, my locations are the best. No, who has better? This is 57th and 5th.
Yeah.
You know, I've always had good locations. And that's a talent. It's not, something that sounds simple, but it's not simple. And I tell children, I tell people, you have to love what you do. And never, ever quit. I've had so many friends that were smart, went to school with me. They were really smart, but they didn't have that feeling of drive or stick-to-itiveness. And I have other people that went to school with that weren't as smart, and they're the titans of industry today. They're among the biggest people. And I went to, I know these people. I know who the smart ones and they're all smart.
Sure.
But some were smarter than others. if they don't have that drive, if they don't have that never give up spirit, they're the ones that never really made it, Mike.
So Art of the Deal, you talk about the need to have fun. By the way, I keep quoting Art of the Deal, but if you buy Crippled America, people will be quoting it as much as people quote
I
Art of the
actually
Deal.
think in Crippled America, in terms of business, forget government now and, the U.S. and what we're doing and what we're going through, I think there are probably as many good business tips. I actually tell how I started and how my father gave me a relatively small loan, a pretty small loan compared to what I built. But actually, people said, "Oh, it's such a big loan." I borrowed $1 million. I paid it back. I borrowed $1 million from my father, and I started a great company. What's become a truly great, legendary company. And my father never wanted me to go into Manhattan. He said, "That's not our bailiwick. That's not our place. It's not for us," because we were in Brooklyn and Queens. I said, "Pop, I have to go in because I want to build those big buildings. I want to build them." And he let me do it, but so I borrowed money and I made a fortune with it, so it was pretty good. Now, some people would say $1 million is a lot of money. I think I could have borrowed it from banks, frankly, with the ideas. But my father had great confidence in me. I think more than anything else, I learned from my father, and he had a great confidence in me. And he was a tough guy, a really good guy with a great heart, but he was tough. And, being able to convince him that I was really good was, that meant a lot.
Yeah.
And a lot of sons and daughters have that. You'll have parents that are a certain way and difficult in some ways. But my father had a great heart. He was a really kind man, but he was a tough man. And, having him be with me was just amazing in terms of confidence.
Sure.
I think going to the Wharton School of Finance, doing well there, good student, I was against many of the people that you read about today at that school. I think it's the best school there is, best business school. Yep. It's rated just about the best, I guess, right, by everybody.
Always,
very hard school to get into, always has been. And I think going through there, doing well, competing with people that are very smart, that builds confidence. It's winning. Like we say, our country doesn't win anymore. We're going to win so much. I joke when I'm giving speeches, I say, "We're going to win so much that you're going to get tired of it. You're going to hate winning." And then I say, "Yeah, you'll never hate winning."
I love it.
So it's sort of fun.
What would your dad say about you running for president?
Well, I think he would be very proud. He loved the country. He was really a great American, put a lot of people to work. He was a very good negotiator. I learned a lot about negotiation from my father, but he was a very good negotiator. And I think he'd be very proud and very happy about it.
Yeah, great. That's awesome. Donald, can we take a phone call?
Yes.
How about that, right? We got a couple phone calls. Your questions obviously rolling in here. Let's go to, let's see here. Make sure we can get these phones to work. Hi. Okay, let's go to, how about Janice? Janice in Palmdale. Janice, if you are watching right now on the internet, get ready, because you're going to get a phone call from Donald Trump. I don't think you've ever anticipated that happening. Donald, I hope they pick up.
I hope so.
What
She
do
will.
we do then? You got to
She
leave a
will.
message for her? She'll never delete it.
She will. I hope so.
Hello,
Is this Janice?
it sure is.
Janice, how are you today? My name is Mike Slater, and you're not going
Hi.
to believe who I'm sitting next to right now.
Mr. Trump.
That's exactly right. Donald Trump. Here he is right now. Say hello to Donald.
You have a beautiful voice, Janice, I'll tell
Oh,
you.
well, thank you, and good evening. It's an honor to speak to you.
Nice to speak to you, Janice.
Do you have a question for Mr. Trump?
I do, and thank you so much for taking my question. As a wife, mother, mother-in-law, and grandmother of sheriff's deputies, my question is, how will you support our law enforcement personnel?
Well, after what we went through yesterday and with the horrible killings, another horrible shooting, and I tweeted at Real Donald Trump for anybody that wants to join. We have a lot of fun with it, at Real Donald Trump. But I was tweeting all over the place about what a great job the police do. And the police are not being respected by our country and our politicians and our leaders the way they should be. We have bad apples, and you see only the bad apple. You don't see the good things. You only see the shooting the other day was terrible with the 16 bullets.
Yeah.
A lot of bad things, but it's a tiny, tiny percentage. But you don't see the good things. Yesterday, you saw some very brave people take these two out. And I said, our police have to be given back that respect. And I'm being endorsed by so many police organizations. They love Trump because I'm backing them.
Yeah.
Without them, we aren't here. We're not doing anything. These are great people. And again, you're always going to have somebody that does something stupid or is bad, and we've seen that. You don't see the great work they do. So I really think that your whole family will be very happy with me because I'm going to give them their power back. You know, they're petrified. They don't want to talk to anybody because they don't want to lose their job. They don't want to lose their pension.
Yeah.
It's so stacked against them now. So they're going to be, I mean, look, I have tremendous respect for them, but they have respect for me too. They know I'm for them, and I'm getting tremendous endorsements. You'll be very happy, Janice, I will tell you that.
Janice, do you think a President Trump will support law enforcement more than a President Obama?
Oh my goodness, yes. My goodness, yes. The president administration just vilifies our law enforcement, and it's just horrible.
Well, he's you know, it's a terrible word to use, but he's a joke. As far as law enforcement's concerned, the way he treats them is a disgrace. Now they're even taking the military, you know, excess military stuff. They want to take it away because they don't want them to look in any way military. Now, having that military equipment yesterday was very, very helpful. But they're trying to take it away from the department. They don't even know what they're going to do with it. It's just surplus. Yeah. And they want to take it away. Your family's going to be very happy with me, Janice. I'll tell you, I'm with you 100%.
Janice, you got a book coming your way.
Oh, yeah, I've got 2 books coming my
Oh,
way.
there you go,
Oh,
Janice.
Janice.
That's what we're talking. That's how you get to #1 on
I
the bestseller
love it.
list.
That's
there,
the way
Don.
you're going to get us to #1, Janice. Thank you, honey.
Janice, you're fantastic. Thank you, ma'am. Give a thank you to your entire family. Don, and I know you'd appreciate the officer. Video came out from the shooting of the day, and as they were escorting people down the hallway who were scared and terrified, didn't know what was going on, he said, everyone, relax. I'll take a bullet before you do. That's for damn sure.
Wow, that's beautiful.
I love that. Those are our police officers, much more than what the president keeps talking about.
Mike, I think it's so great. I know so many of them. And
Yeah. Especially in New York. Goodness,
well,
you're working with the best.
They're incredible. Yeah, they are, really. I mean, they're incredible. And what they do and what they're up against with some of these politicians, whether it's mayors or anything else, is incredible.
Amazing. Janice, thanks so much. You're awesome. Keep the questions coming in and keep tweeting this. Tell everyone online, livesigning.com. We got an hour left here, so plenty of time. People can join in on this conversation and get your questions in. Let's go to Debbie. She says, hello, Mr. Trump. How do you think running the country will be different for you than running your business? What do you see as the biggest challenge between those differences?
So there'll be a lot of things that are the same, but you know, I like to say that I'm a Republican conservative with heart. And we have to have heart. You know, when you run a business, you don't need quite as much heart. You want to take care of your people, but it's a little bit different. When you run a country, I mean, let's talk about this country because you have different countries. But we have to take care of our people. And you have some people that can do a really good job taking care of themselves. But we have to have a certain heart when it comes to medical, when it comes to health, when it comes to a lot of things. We can't have people dying in the streets. And what's going to happen, and if you see what's going on with Obamacare, that's exactly what's going to happen. So tremendous amounts of money can be saved with fraud, waste, and abuse. Tremendous amounts. I mean, beyond belief. The money, we have hundreds and hundreds and even thousands, I hear, of people, as an example, on Social Security that are listed at above 112 years old. Now, you know you don't have this. No, but they're listed at 112 and above. Now, you know they're not here. It's not going to happen. Maybe someday, but it's not going to happen. And yet, the fraud within Social Security, I'm going to save Social Security. I'm not doing cuts like everybody else wants to cut Social Security. I'm going to bring back money and jobs and base and everything from China. I'm going to bring it back from Japan and Mexico and so many other places. But we have to cut back on the fraud, waste, abuse. We have to run the country right. We have to bring back education to the local level, get rid of Common Core. You're going to save a fortune. We're last in we're doing so badly in education worldwide. We're the most expensive per pupil, and yet we're rated number 28. 28 in the world. We have third world countries practically that do better than us in education. It's got to change. and it will change.
We got a lot of questions coming in about education, but one question about. Oh, sorry, just get my mind. Maybe we should go to education right now. How much were? Oh no, here it is. Would you ever have someone on your payroll who's not on your pay, like who's 112 years old, who isn't alive anymore? Would you ever put up with that abuse in your business?
That's what happens. I mean, that's what happens, and that's what you're seeing. And by the way, the numbers are staggering. How many people, if you check
You would
it,
never put up with that.
No.
You wouldn't?
No.
So why do people do it in
But
government? Why do
there are-
people put up with that in DC?
I think it's bureaucracy. I think they don't care,
Yeah,
basically.
definitely not.
I don't think they care. And they know what's going on. Gets reported. All they have to do is check a computer, and they'll find out. You know,
How
what
about the
they
people in
owe.
the VA?
The
The VA is
VA?
the worst.
The VA is probably the most corrupt agency in the history of this country.
Amazing.
How bad they are and how bad they treat our incredible veterans. The Veterans Administration is one of the true corrupt groups of people. I mean, it's all over the place. And yet we have some great people in there. I think we have some great doctors in there. But the administration of the Veterans Administration is a disgrace. Our veterans are treated worse than illegal immigrants. I will tell you that. Worse, in many cases. But we'll straighten it all out.
The concerning thing for me about the VA is this is an issue that everyone agrees with, Democrat and Republican. We want to take care of our veterans. Everyone agrees it's broken, still can't fix it.
Well, we're going to fix it.
I like
and
it.
I have the right guys, and I have the best people, and you know, it's management.
Yeah.
It's really management at a high level, and it's management, and we're going to get it fixed.
We got a lot of questions here about management, actually. Now, I know you're not, in Art of the Deal, you talk about not playing your hand, leaving all your options open, so I know you're not going to tell us who you would put in your cabinet, but what characteristic of a person are you looking for? We're getting a bunch of questions along those
Great
lines.
and talented people. We have unbelievable talent in this country, but the people that get the job are political hacks, people that gave money for, as an example, I'm self-funding my campaign. Other than little donations where people send in, because frankly, it's more expensive to send it back. But more importantly, but more importantly than that, they send in $25, $50, $100, $17.50, the small donations. So they invest in the campaign, they invest in the country. It's a really positive thing. But I've turned down millions and millions and millions of dollars. I'm the only one that's doing that. I've sent out legal letters, all PACs. You know, they form these PACs in my name. I don't know what happens. They go out and use the money. Do they steal it? What do they do with the money? And a lot of them probably want to help Trump, but a lot of them don't. They want to just take the money. Look, we have a very corrupt system. This system is horrible. So we've sent out legal letters to every PAC to cease.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm the only one self-funding my campaign. And I'll tell you what, you know, I think one of the reasons I'm so high up in the polls, they know that when somebody gives $2 million to a Jeb Bush, they get control over Jeb Bush. They have control over him. When they give all of this money to Rubio and to all of them, every one of them, they've got control. Hillary Clinton, I mean, she's totally controlled by her donors, special interests, and lobbyists. So it's a disgrace. And I really think one of the reasons I'm doing so well is that I'm spending my own money. And people, the only one that I am reporting to are the people. And I'm going to do what's right for the people. These other people, they do what's right for the company they're representing or whatever it might be.
So all the other candidates you think would be beholden to...
Every one of them. And I know it. Hey, look, who played the game better than me? I was a big contributor. Until 5 months ago, I was establishment. I was the ultimate in establishment. I gave $350,000 to the Republican Governors Association. I gave tremendous amounts of money away to politicians. And I got along with everybody. I got along with Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives. I got along with everybody. Because I'm a businessman, I had to get along with everybody.
And you know how it works, and you're going to break it?
Well, I know the system, and I know how it works. And sometimes it's not such a pretty system, but I know how it works. And I will get tremendous cooperation. I get along with people. A lot of people don't realize it. You know, I thought President Obama would be a great unifier. He's actually turned out to be a disaster. He's turned out to be a great divider. You watch what happens.
Yeah. Let's take some phone calls here. Let's go to... Is that okay, Mr. Trump?
Yeah.
Take a phone call? Let's do Richard here. Richard, if you're watching right now, get ready. Another phone call here. Donna, how about these? What if someone had a bunch of these underneath their Christmas tree this year?
Well, I think they're
not
gonna
bad
like
at all. Look how good it looks all
I
wrapped
think,
up
I
there.
think that's beautiful.
Stocking stuffers and everything. You got Richard in Houston.
Okay.
Last time you went to Houston? Been there recently?
I was there 4 months ago for a big meeting with a lot
Hello,
of people.
this is Rich.
All right, Richard, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing good. About yourself?
Fantastic. My name is Mike Slater, but you don't care about me. You care about the guy I'm sitting next to, Mr. Donald Trump. Say hi to Mr. Trump.
Hi, Richard.
Hi, Mr. Trump.
How are you?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm okay, Rich. Good.
Richard, have you bought a book yet of Crippled America? Have you bought a copy?
Yes, I have.
Why'd you buy a copy?
Well, I enjoyed years ago when Art of the Deal came out. I bought a paperback copy of that, read it, and I found Mr. Trump to be an interesting person, and he had a good story. And so I'm hoping that this will give us, just better understanding of what he's going to do to help put America back on the right track.
That's what it
That's
does.
great,
You
Richard.
won't be disappointed. Do you have a question for Mr. Trump?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead, Rich.
Okay, Mr. Trump, my question is, the federal government seems to think that they can't be out of money because they still have checks left.
Right.
How will President Trump work to control spending?
Well, they print the money, and that's all they've been doing. And now we're at 19 trillion, and we're going to soon be at 21 trillion. The last budget deal they made is a disaster. You know that. I mean, you saw that a couple of weeks ago. And then they don't worry about the budget for a whole year, and then they get caught right in the middle. But we are going to run things properly. We're going to run it really properly. We're going to be very tight. We're going to be very smart. We're going to take care of our military. We're going to take care of our vets. But we're going to cut back, and we're going to make our budget balanced within a fairly short period of time. And you can do that if you know what you're doing. Politicians can't do that, Richard, because they have no clue. All they're good at really is getting reelected. They're controlled by all of these guys that give them the money. And these people don't want what's good for our country. They want what's good for themselves or their company. So we will do a job. I think you're going to be so proud in a couple of years, Richard. You will be so proud that hopefully you'll be calling me again and you'll say, great job. I remember I'll say, oh, you were Richard, right? No, but you'll be very happy, Richard.
What do you think of that, Richard?
That sounds great. I look forward to the opportunity to do that.
Okay, thanks,
Real
Richard.
quick, Rich,
Me too.
I got a quick question for you. Do you see, because Donald mentioned the military, do you have any military connections?
I personally don't. I've got my nephew is in the military. He's in the Army. He did a 4-year tour with the old guard at Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. Retired from that, re-upped. He went counterterrorism training. They put him at Eglin Air Force Base in Fort Walton Beach over there in Florida.
Right.
And just in October, they transferred him to all places. Anchorage, Alaska. So he's got a little bit of adjustment to do in the weather, but I'm sure he'll get through it. He's a good kid.
That's great.
What do you think what's your number one priority for a commander-in-chief? Because that's what we're electing Mr. Trump to be, ultimately, right? We're electing a commander-in-chief. What do you want to see out of a commander-in-chief first and foremost?
I just think you need to have a good vision. You need to treat the military with respect. I mean, we've seen a lot of presidents in my time. I'm 58 years old now, and we've seen some that really respect military a lot. My nephew actually had a couple days where he ended up in the White House when George Bush was still president, and George Bush came by and visited with him for a second, shook his hand, and thanked him for his service. And I don't know that you see any of that with the current administration.
So what do you think? What do you think of Obama?
I'm looking forward to President Obama figuring out what he's going to do in his retirement.
Looking forward to the rest of his life.
You and me and a lot of other people, Richard.
Richard, great to talk to you, sir. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for taking my call.
Yes, sir. Number one priority of a commander-in-chief.
Well, it's really very important, the word safety, we have to take care of. I mean, beyond anything else, the military, the safety, you have ISIS, you have all these problems. You got, the Russian thing, and you've got the China thing. They're building in the South China Sea. It's massive, military base,
No one's
essentially.
talking about that.
Nobody even talks about it. You know why? Because they don't want to talk about it, because there's nothing you can do. We have tremendous power over China, because economically, they can't survive unless we buy their goods. So we have tremendous power over them, but nobody knows it. We have tremendous power over China to take care of the North Korea. They don't talk about that either. Do you notice?
Yeah.
They talk about Iran, made one of the worst deals ever. gave them 150
You
billion.
would never do a deal like that. Have you ever done a
Well,
deal that bad in your entire
No,
life?
you can't do a
Would
deal that bad. That's gross incompetence at the highest level. Nothing's good about. We don't even get our prisoners back. We get nothing. But when you look at what's going on, and yet they don't have nuclear. They will have nuclear based on that deal, but not if I'm president. They're not
Yeah.
going to have. Believe me.
You can stop it.
You can
stop
write it in stone. But if you look at North Korea, nobody ever talks about North Korea, and you know why? Because it's an unpleasant subject.
Yeah.
They don't talk about it, and yet they have nuclear. And let me tell you, that guy is crazy. So you'll see. It'll
Well,
work out.
that's why you're bringing it up. I'm glad. This question actually just came in because you mentioned China. This is from Crystal. I own a U.S. manufacturing company. Competing against China is getting so much worse. How will you help U.S. manufacturers?
Well, competing against China is becoming impossible for our companies. If you look at this whole ridiculous situation with global warming, China's going to sign an agreement. They're not going to adhere to it. We're going to sign it, make our businesses go out of business. When you think that we have a president who yesterday said that global warming is a bigger threat than ISIS and Russia and China and everything, Michael, it's hard to believe. Hard to believe. So we're going to loosen up in the regulations. We're going to get rid of many, many tens of thousands of every day they come up with new regulations. I don't know, what do these people do? They sit around and think of regulations. They are strangling our businesses and especially our small businesses. But they're also strangling the big businesses. And remember, they're leaving. Pfizer, how great a company is Pfizer? They're leaving with thousands and thousands of jobs gone. We can't let that happen. Corporate inversions, we can't let it happen. So I discussed that very strongly in the book.
You know, it's a great American company, Simon & Schuster, which is
That's-
another
oh,
reason
beautiful.
why you got to buy a couple of these books for everyone you know. Buy American.
They are a great company. I'll tell you, we have had a great relationship. Well, they're happy with me because it's selling so
Well,
well.
they're gonna be happy
How
'cause
many
you're gonna be
people
number
have? How
one.
many books have we sold today? You know?
Thousands.
Do you have a number?
1,500?
No,
Just-
just 5,000, close to 5,000.
Oh, altogether, yes, sir.
All
5,000.
Today.
5,000.
5,000.
Today,
You sold
Mr.
5,000.
Today.
Do I have to sign 5,000?
Yes, you do. That's part of the deal. You're here. You're not going anywhere until you get
A lot of
5
books. Great. Wow.
Hey, let's put Donald Trump to work. How many times have you ever said, "I put Donald Trump to work tonight"?
I'm
You want to
working.
go home, but
I'm-
they won't let you.
I'm working. Let me tell you.
Let's
Wow.
buy as many as possible.
great.
Send
Wow,
us
that's
out,
a-
tweet this to your friends. Livesigning.com. Let's get more people in here. The numbers are going up as we're hanging out here. So let's get a couple books here. You can pass it out to people in your church group. Pass it out to people in your synagogue. Your tea party. Put that down. Next time someone goes to a tea party group, you got to pile these books.
Well,
up.
you know, the Tea Party that I'm talking about, I love.
Yeah.
You know, the Tea Party, these are great people who have been absolutely mistreated by the media.
How so?
They're just not treated fairly. They love the country, and they're great, great citizens. And I don't know, we have to help the Tea Party. The Tea Party people are great.
Chris just wrote. Chris just sent a text or a question here. He said, "I just bought 50 for my church.
Oh, Chris.
50 bucks.
We love you, Chris.
Look at that.
Is Chris on the phone?
No, we don't have
We gotta
Chris. Maybe
get
we need to get
Chris.
Chris's number here.
Forget these other people. Get Chris.
Everyone's just buying one at a time. Come on, let's
we
get a
had one
couple at a
person
time.
today in one of my buildings bought 152 books.
That's awesome.
But the
Why
bad news,
152?
I don't know. I guess he's giving them out. The bad news, I had to sign them all.
There you-
And I had to sign them like within an hour. But we got it done.
Put this guy to work right here. Speaking of not going to work, if you face off, this is from Daryl. If you face off against Hillary Clinton during the first presidential debate, could you? First of all, I'm going to interrupt you. Could you imagine the ratings for that one?
That would be. They're saying that would be the all-time high.
Are you kidding me?
I
That'd be
would.
fantastic.
I would love it. I'd love doing it.
How
She
much
did
money
it.
could you give to the troops?
Hey, look,
for
she's
that?
done a terrible job. Fox just came out with a poll that I beat her easily.
Sure.
They just came out with it yesterday in a poll. I beat her easily. So I would love to face off.
You
with
said a while ago that she was a high security risk. I love that.
Well,
Why do you
no,
think so?
what she did with emails is disgusting and illegal, and people have been treated very harshly because of what they did, and it's merely 5% of what she did.
Yeah.
And she's being protected by the Democrats, and it's not fair, and it's not a fair situation.
Oh, you would call her
No,
out.
I don't think she's going to be a very good candidate, and I've said it to people. I don't think she has the strength or the stamina to be a good president.
She wouldn't be signing 1,000 books
She's
tonight.
not saying, she's sleeping. Right now, she's sleeping. Right now, she's sleeping. And I'll tell you something, that if you ever notice, she goes away and she does an event, and it's usually like nobody can talk to her, the press, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, everything's controlled. Then she leaves, and you don't see her for like 5 days,
Yeah.
right? She goes home and sleeps. We don't need that as a president.
She was asked today because she said everyone who accuses someone of rape should be believed. So someone stood up at an event and said, well, what about the people who have accused your husband? They cut that question and answer off real fast.
No,
Mr.
did they
Trump.
do that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Cut it
that's-
off. They said, okay, that's enough. We're good here. We're done here.
No, but did that question get on?
Yeah.
Well, that's brutal. That's Trumpian.
I like it. Hashtag Trumpian. Can we do can we start a new thing here? That is Trumpian.
That is, who was the reporter that asked that?
I think it was a regular person.
Oh, that's incredible.
Can we sign an extra book for that person?
Yes.
A special book just for
I
that.
give him 5.
Trumpian. I want a t-shirt that says I'm Trumpian. All right, so the rest of Daryl's question. If you face off with her first presidential debate and you're able to ask her one question face to face, what do you ask her?
Why did you do such a poor job as Secretary of State? You said poor. The world blew up around Hillary Clinton. The Middle East blew up around her and Obama. Just did such a poor job. She traveled a lot, a total waste of fuel. It was a total waste of fuel. And I'd ask her, why? Why? She's not a stupid person. Why? How could she have done so badly? You look at Benghazi, you look at Libya, everything she touched turned to junk. There wasn't anything. I don't think she's done. Did she do anything right? Now, then you ask the larger, did Obama do anything right?
Yeah.
When you get right down to it. So I would be talking about her time as Secretary of State.
Yeah. So if I can bring up something local to San Diego. So 3 of the 4 Americans who were killed in Benghazi lived or were from San Diego.
Oh, boy.
And Hillary Clinton lied to their faces, Mr. Trump. Like, shook their hand, said, we're going to bring the people who made this video to justice. How could you, would you ever, I know the answer, but would you ever lie to someone's face like that, sir?
Well, she lied about her flight, that she was under attack, and
Yep.
then she gets out and she's greeted with people with flowers. She was under attack. No, she lies, and she's corrupt. Her whole life has been about corruption. Think about it.
Say that
Whether
again.
it's Whitewater, I mean, her whole life has been about corruption.
Wow.
And maybe one of the, I don't even know if it's the worst, but maybe one of the worst aspects of it is going on right now with emails.
And she's going to get away with it?
Well, if a Republican wins, like Trump, if a Republican wins, there's a 6-year statute of limitations on a crime like that. That's a very serious crime. And you have a 6-year statute of limitations. So she's in a way fighting for her life, because I think the Democrats are going to let her off. And it's so, very sad, because the FBI is, and I hear he's a terrific guy, but the FBI is probably being told to stand down, and I think they're probably standing down. Look, what she's done with the emails is illegal. Can't do it. And no matter how you look at different statutes, you can look at it any different way. Now, still, she has to get a fair shake. But what's happening is it's total protection time.
Yeah.
Because General Petraeus was destroyed. Because of what he did. He did nothing compared to her.
Yeah.
Other people went to jail. They did nothing compared to her. Nothing. Look at all these classifieds that she's got. Every day, there are hundreds of them. Every time at what point do they say she's not allowed to do this?
Yeah.
Now, if I get in, it's a problem, because she's got a 5 or 6 year statute. Probably, I think 6, but whether it's 5 or 6, so she's got a problem. So in a way, she's fighting for her life.
I've never heard that perspective before. So
Isn't
you
that
would
nice?
push an investigation. That's,
Well, I think it's
that's
fair.
all the more reason for a President Trump to get Hillary behind bars,
Look,
Mr. Trump.
Hillary broke the law. You've got a 5 to 6 year statute of limitations. So if I'm president, and if you're no longer protected by the Democrats, I guess she's got a problem. Now, if she's able to prove to my attorney general, if she's able to prove to the various U.S. attorneys or whoever's handling the case, that's one thing. But what she did is so illegal. So in a way, she's fighting for her life. Don't you understand that?
Absolutely. What would your punishment be if you could make it for her?
Whatever the law says.
Yeah.
Whatever the law says. It's a very serious thing. You're talking about the security of the country.
Yeah.
You're really talking about top of the line stuff.
She's a high security risk
She
to
is
elect for
a
president.
very dishonest person.
Let's take a call here from Tyler, who's in Knoxville. Tyler, if you're watching right now, get near your phone. Again, everyone, keep in mind that we have, he's signing them right now. If you've ever wondered if they actually sign them, or if they have some machine that prints these,
I don't want to
you're
use the
signing
machine.
them.
I don't want to use it.
He's signing them right here.
I don't want to use a machine because they'll be using the machine to sign checks.
That's right.
I've seen that. I've heard that before.
Tearing those machines down. Hey, is this Tyler?
This is.
Tyler, I'm Mike Slater, but the guy standing next to me is the one you really want to talk to, Mr. Donald Trump. Say hello to Mr. Trump.
How you doing, Mr.
Hi,
Trump?
Tyler. I love your voice. You know, I was in Knoxville recently. Were you at our event?
Oh, please, of course I was. 3
Okay.
hours before the event even started. I got to shake your hand.
We had, and that was some crowd, wasn't it, Tyler? What a great.
Oh my
group of
gosh,
people.
you couldn't move, and of course the media didn't report it. They didn't want to say the crowd that you got. The local radios were saying 5,000, 6,000.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I called in and corrected them.
You know what? The media does not like covering that. They don't like. They cover me, but it's like I'm speaking in front of 200 people. When Bush goes and when all these characters go, they have 100 people, 50 people, 70 people. I have thousands. The media never likes to say, but everyone knows.
And Knoxville's not the only event I've been to. I've been to 2 in Nashville,
Oh, wow.
Atlanta. Oh yeah, I've gone
That
everywhere.
Nashville event was amazing, wasn't it? Though that was.
Oh yes,
amazing.
sir.
So what do you get out of him, Tyler? Like, because it's one thing to go to one because he's in your town or wherever, but why travel? What emotion, what feeling do you get listening to him and being around all these other Trumpian people?
It just, when I hear him speak, it's just proudness pours out of me because I believe in everything that he says. He's just a leader, and nobody else in the Republican field does it. No, I don't want anybody else in the Republican field representing me. I think Mr. Trump believes in what he says. He wants to make America great again, and he knows how to do it. His track record proves it. His track record as a businessman proves everything that he says is going to be true, and I believe it 100%. And I know he's going to win, and I know we're going to make America great again.
That's what I'm talking about.
Tyler, that's so great. You know, the problem with Romney when he ran out of gas. Something happened to him, and he didn't finish the job. And say what you want about Obama. He was on Leno, he was on Letterman, he was all over the place that last couple of weeks. And I'd say, where are your people? Why aren't you out there all the time? And they just were afraid to win. You know, there are some people who don't know how to win. And I backed him,
And
I backed
you do.
McCain. And you know what
And
I
you
said?
proved it.
Well, Tyler, you know what I said? I said I backed McCain, didn't make it. I then backed Romney, didn't make it. This time I said, I'm just doing it myself. Okay, I'm doing it myself.
That's great.
Hey, Tyler, you're fantastic. I appreciate it, man. That's so nice what you said, and I really appreciate it. Believe me. And you're going to be very
Mr.
proud in
Trump.
a couple of years, Tyler. Got to give me a little while to get it going here, but if I win, shortly thereafter, you're going to see some big changes made, and you're going to be very proud of your country again.
I believe that 100%. Nobody else can do it, and that's why every time I get a chance to it, even though I'm not supposed to at work, I do it at work. I do it to my friends. I do everything I can to talk you up because you are the only person that will bring change to America.
And are your friends responsive to it, Tyler?
Oh, yes, sir. I've changed at least 20 of my friends' minds.
wow.
At first, they would say, oh, you know, his rhetoric, blah, blah, blah. But I say, don't get past that. Listen to the substance because nobody else has a plan like Mr. Trump. He cares about our veterans. He cares about our military. Nobody else is going to bring jobs in like Mr. Trump. I mean, you are going to truly change this country. And it's a movement.
You know what we'll do? We'll
Silent
make it
majority is turning into the noisy majority, like you said the other day.
It's a noisy majority.
I like it.
So it's no longer the quiet or the silent. It is the noisy. You've seen it. I mean, it's amazing. The response in these
Absolutely.
rooms is absolutely amazing.
Tyler, you're awesome. Do you have a question for Mr. Trump?
Mr. Trump,
You don't even have to ask me a question. Your statement was so beautiful, but go ahead, ask me.
I guess my question, because I've listened to every one of your speeches, every one of your interviews, so anything I ask you, I already know the answer for because I know everything you're going to say,
That's
and it's going to be
beautiful.
awesome. But my question, I guess, would be, can you give me a shout-out that I can post on my Instagram and Facebook for all my friends to see?
Wow.
Sure, I can do that.
Let me take a video of it for you, Tyler, and I'll post it too. Here we go.
Thank
You tell me when you're ready.
Ready? Here we go.
Tyler, you are a great guy and a great American, and in a couple of years, you're going to be so proud of your country and you're going to be so proud of your president, and I appreciate your support.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much, Mr. Trump. And I don't
Okay.
know if you remember this or not, but in Atlanta, I was the guy that chased after your car and got the WrestleMania poster signed.
Oh, I remember you.
It's in his office. It's in his office right
Right,
now.
that's a
It
beauty.
is. And don't sell it
and
on
he's-
eBay. There's no.
And you know what? He's a good-looking guy. Now I know who you are.
Hey,
you
Tyler,
did.
Tyler, send me a tweet at Slater Radio, and I'll send that video to you, and I'll post you on Instagram and Twitter and all the rest.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Trump. You just made my year. You
Oh,
have
that's
no
great.
idea.
Hey,
Thank
Tyler,
you so
and I
much.
do remember with the WrestleMania stuff. Thanks a lot,
Thanks,
Tyler.
Tyler. You're the man, brother. What do you think when you go to an event and there's lines around the block?
Yeah.
These people are taking a lot of time out of their day, not only traveling, but just sitting outside for 3 hours. That's hard just to hear you speak. What do you think of that?
We had one on Saturday at 12 o'clock, hot weather, really hot, Sarasota, Florida. We had 12,000 people. You have never seen lines like this. And by the way, 12,000 is not even, in Dallas I had 20. In Mobile, Alabama, we had 35,000.
How can that be 35,000 people?
In Oklahoma, we had 20,000. And tomorrow I'm going to North Carolina. We're going to have 15,000 at least. It's been unbelievable. It's interesting. A friend of mine said to me, who's a very successful guy, he said, how do you speak in front of so many people?
Yeah.
And I don't have, a written speech, and I don't use a teleprompter. And he said, how do you do that? And I said, there's such love in the room that it's easy to do. It isn't a crazy statement, but there is every place I go, it's the same. It's like Tyler. There is such love. Now, Romney was not able to do that because if the people that are in theory Republicans got up and voted, he would have won. He lost by a lot. But, a lot of people say you need this group, you need that. All you have to do is get the people up to vote, and we're going to win. I think our people are energized. They're really energized. But had they got up and voted, Romney would have won. And it would have been a far better alternative to what we have now.
Were you talking art of the deal about motivating people? That's
Motivation.
What you do, that's what you do with all
And
your
it's
books.
motivation, but it's also the ideas. Like Tyler said, his ideas, forget all the rhetoric and everything else, it's his ideas. We have great ideas, and we're going to have a great country, and boy, are we going to have a military that's going to be so strong and so tough and so sharp, nobody's ever going to mess with us. And essentially what you're going to do is you're saving a lot of money. Because, you're fighting these wars, we're weak, and people think we're weak. I was watching one of the television stations the other day, and a major general, said that we're the least prepared, maybe that we ever have been.
Wow.
Think of that statement. That's a hell of a statement to make. And maybe we need more preparedness now than ever before.
Especially when we have such great men and women ready.
Incredible people. Incredible.
And we're not supporting them like we should.
No.
On Tyler's point here, because he said he got to talk to a bunch of other people and convince them but to support Donald Trump, give you a second look perhaps, and he was able to talk the truth to them. This is such a great opportunity, this book, to hand to them and say, look, don't listen to me, listen to him. Right, here's Donald in his own words, 200 pages. You can read it in a couple days here, and then you can decide.
Well, it's really shows support too. I mean, it's beyond like the book. I think they're going to love the book. I think I've done a lot of it's one of my best. It's certainly the most pertinent in a way, but I'm really proud of it. But it's also a show of support. When this book does well, it's a show of support for common sense, for dignity, for our country. I mean, you're not going to have a president standing up in the middle of an attack in Paris, an attack here, and talking about global warming is the biggest threat we have. It's what's wrong with this man? So I think really it's a show of support, in a sense, for common sense and for leadership and for lots of good things for our country. So I look at it. It's doing really well, and I'm proud of it. I wish I could devote more time to it. I'm doing so many other things.
I was saying you got other stuff to do here.
Well, I'm running a company, and it's a great company. It's been
How's business?
Business is great. I mean, but I'm running a company now.
I've always wanted to ask Donald Trump how business is going. I'm sorry, that was for me.
It's been great. But you're running a company. You're running for president, and we're now supposed to be doing a book. And Ben Carson did a book, and he took a lot of time off. And boy, would I sell books! Can you imagine? Oh, they're dreaming of that. We have all these brilliant executives here from Simon & Schuster. But they're looking at all of this. If I took like 3-4 weeks off, I think would start catching the art of the deal, right? I think we'll catch the art of the deal. But it's doing so well, and sadly, I just can't devote very much time to it. That's why I love what I'm doing tonight.
Well, you can do a lot right here in a short amount of
Yeah.
time. That's why I'm loving this event. And right now we have more people watching than when we started. So we have only half an hour left. Let's push through to the end here.
How many people are watching right now? I'm just curious.
Thousands and thousands. Like,
What is it?
yeah,
Over 10,000.
yeah,
10,000.
over thousands.
And how many books have we sold?
5,000.
Yeah, we were at 5 a while ago, so they're still coming in.
So you have way over that.
Yeah, we're
That's
tracking
good.
them.
It's a good way of selling books.
Just sit here,
I
hang
may
out,
have
we
to
get to
do
have a
this every. Do
conversation.
you want to do it tomorrow night?
What the heck? Well, let's do one fun question here while we're having more lightheartedness. Austin says, you can learn a lot about a person based on their favorite movies. What are some of your favorite movies?
Well, I love Gone with the Wind. I love Citizen Kane. I love The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I think it's one of the great
There you
westerns
go.
ever. A lot of great movies. I mean, Sunset Boulevard, one of the great movies ever made. But maybe Citizen Kane could be the best. Sunset Boulevard could be. I don't know.
Nice.
Those two are pretty much, they vie to the top.
What characteristic, this is from Michelle, what character, oh, she said President Trump. There you go, I like
she
that.
knows.
I like the sound of that. What characteristic do you find most important and admirable in a person? And then there's a follow-up, but let's do the first one. What are you most admirable in another person you meet? Maybe you're doing a job interview with
That I beat?
that you meet.
Oh, that I meet. I thought you said that I beat. I think it's more interesting if we say that I beat. Right? A job interview. Well, you got to be groomed properly. A lot of people think, let's be cool, and they go in with an undershirt or a t-shirt. So you got to show respect by dress. A lot of times, and I see a lot of people. I have thousands of employees, and I've hired over the years tens of thousands of people. I think grooming is very important. Now, ultimately, it's what's in here that counts, but you create a good first impression. It's very, very important. Again, you have to know your subject, you have to love your subject, you have to feel strongly, and that passion has to come out to the one you're looking, for the job. So it's just got to come out, and it will if you love what you're doing and love your subject. But you got to look good. You got to be groomed. You don't want to see somebody walking in there dirty, and we're supposed to hire these people,
Yeah.
right?
Well, first impressions are huge for you. That's why
very
you
true.
talked about art of the deal. Cleanliness is huge for you.
It's
I remember there was a great scene where you talked about someone called you up and said, why are we spending so much on the brass railings of the elevators? And you said, because it's important. And
Well, I did another one. I said, you have the guy who cleans the car. Who brought this up to me more than anybody is Mark Burnett. We did The Apprentice together, and he's a great guy, did Survivor, etc. And he said, and he always told me about it. He remembered this because he read The Art of the Deal when he was starting out. And he talks about the guy who buys a car or has a car, but he doesn't want to clean it. And if he cleaned it for $10, he could get hundreds of dollars more.
Yeah.
And it's true. I talk about it. I mean, they have a car and it's dirty. And if they clean it, they could get a lot more money, and it wouldn't cost very much more to clean it. So, and I see it a lot. I mean, I see it with buildings. I see it a lot. But that's one of the anecdotes that we have in The Art of the Deal.
Well, good thing I bought a new tie for
No,
this
you look
time here.
beautiful.
Goodness
You
gracious.
look beautiful.
What'd you learn about doing The Apprentice? That had to be a blast.
Well, The Apprentice was a great thing. Mark came to me and NBC and the whole group, and they put it on television. Everybody thought it would be a total failure. They didn't even give me an option. They didn't have an option to renew it. That's where I made my money. On year 2, because it became so successful. And it became the #1 show, and it was #1 many nights. And the season finale was beyond just about anything for the entire year, other than the Super Bowl and maybe a couple of other things. And we had so many millions of, it was the hottest thing. I will say, as hot as it was, nothing compared to what I'm doing right now.
Wow.
I will say this. Look, The Apprentice was fantastic. And they asked me to renew. Steve Burke, who's one of the great guys and a great executive at Comcast, came up to my office with a group from NBC, and they wanted me to renew. This is 6-7 months ago. And I said, Steve, I'm going to run for president. I'm pretty sure. I wasn't sure. It takes guts. But I said, I'm going to run. And they announced it anyway. They said, we're going to renew The Apprentice with Donald Trump. We're going to renew it. And I called them. I said, look, I told you I'm probably going to run. And they hoped I didn't run because they wanted to do 2 more years. But you know what? I did 14 seasons of it. It's
Wow.
great. We chose Arnold Schwarzenegger to do it. And it'll be very interesting to see how he does. And I hope he does well because, I have a big chunk of that show. But we'll see. I mean, it'll be. How will Arnold do? What do you think?
Well, Arnold was our governor in
Right.
California. So I have
Well, hopefully he's going to do better than he did.
exactly. I have two opinions of Arnold. Movie star Arnold and Governor Arnold are two very different things.
Yeah, he had a little hard time.
Let's go to Austin here. He says, during your campaign for your presidency, which former presidents, regardless of their party, do you look upon as inspiration or motivation for your own race?
Well, I think that, Ronald Reagan to me he could have been stronger on the border, in all fairness. It wasn't great on the border, but he had so many different things. He had a great demeanor, a great way. You were proud to say he was your president. And I think of the modern day president, relatively modern day presidents, I think I like Ronald Reagan. I like what he stood for. He was a Democrat. A lot of people don't realize he was a Democrat, somewhat of a liberal Democrat when he started, and he became somewhat, not totally conservative at all, but somewhat conservative. But he represented our country well. He was high quality. And when you looked at him, you said, there's our president. Today, you don't exactly say that. You agree with that?
Absolutely, I'd say. Got a tweet here from MRTWG. Slater, how do I buy a signed book? So at livesigning.com, the books you buy there are these books right here, like these piles of books. So we're going to sign off here at 9 o'clock, coming up here not too long from now. But Donald's going to keep sticking around signing. So when you buy a signed book, when you buy multiple books, they're all going to be signed. And not only that, but labeled here at the bottom. They got a number at the bottom. So we got a collector's edition quality here. And you're not going to get them signed anywhere else. This is the one chance to get them signed. And he's sitting right here. So you know he's doing it. No one's, there's no tricks here. He's doing it right here, right now. The real Donald Trump. So MRTWG, livesigning.com. Let's go to Zyway. He says, how will you convince companies such as Apple to move production back to the States?
Oh, I love that question because, we think of Apple as an American company,
Yeah.
but they make their product in China. And they have offices here, but China makes more money with Apple than we do, if you think about it. And we have to bring Apple and other companies like Apple back to the United States. We have to do it. And that's one of my real dreams for the country, to get that work.
To get Apple back in particular.
Well, to get them back, we have a great capacity in this country. If you think about it, they have an advantage in a lot of ways because of, well, first of all, they manipulate the hell out of their currency, which just kills us. It makes it so hard to compete. I will get them to stop. But we have advantages because the shipping costs and the costs of what they do over there is so enormous. It's like Japan with the cars. They rip us left and right with their cars. They make a fortune. We practically do nothing. The balance of trade is so enormous. It's like beyond belief. They sell cars, we give them practically nothing. It's so one-sided, all of these deals. But we have an advantage. They sell those cars over in the United States. They have to put them on these massive ships. I see them coming into Los Angeles, the biggest ships you've ever seen. That's very expensive. If we can do things right over here, and the problem we have is we have a very bad tax code.
Yeah.
And under my code, we're cutting the taxes for the middle class, middle income people, big league, and we're cutting taxes for corporations and small businesses and everything down to 15%. So we go from the highest taxed nation in the world to one of the lowest taxed nations in the world, and our economy is going to swing. It's going to be amazing. And we are going to control these countries. Carl Icahn is backing me, and many great business people are backing me. Carl's a great business leader. And we are going to, I'll say, Carl, do me a favor, check out China. Let me know what you think. I mean, I know what he thinks. It's ridiculous. It's such a one-sided deal. We have Carolyn Kennedy as our negotiator against Japan. Carolyn Kennedy, and she didn't even, they had on 60 Minutes, they had this piece, Michael, on Kennedy. She said, I'd like to work for the administration. Well, they said, how about ambassador to Japan? She said, really? I mean, if you look at it, it's pretty much, this is not what we want representing our country. In business, we want our toughest, sharpest, smartest people. And I have them all. I know them all. I have them all. And it's not going to be where they rip us, and it's not going to be where we have these big trade imbalances, and they're not going to change their currency. I mean, what they're doing in terms of currency manipulation is genius, but they're killing us. They're taking our jobs. They're taking our manufacturing. It's unbelievable. I tell the story about Komatsu tractor. A friend of mine buys always Caterpillar tractors. And he's very sad. He comes up to me. He bought Komatsu from Japan. It's a tractor. It's an excavator. And he buys it. I said, what's wrong? He said, they have so devalued their currency that it was impossible for Caterpillar to compete.
Wow.
And that's what's happening. And we can't allow that to happen. It's unfair. It's no longer fair. And I like free trade, but I want it to be fair. And I will stop all that nonsense. And we have a president now that has no clue what's going on. He doesn't even have a little clue.
It's got to be frustrating when Democrats complain about companies moving overseas or getting tax havens overseas. Why isn't America the tax haven for the world? Why aren't companies around the world? Why isn't the tractor company you mentioned moving to America as opposed to us moving over there?
Well, you know, a lot of companies are moving out of the United States to get the money that they can't bring back in. We have $2.5 trillion at least in other countries. And these companies can't get their money back in because of our tax codes.
Backwards. The tax code is the simplest
By the way,
thing, Jay,
people are moving their company to get the money and leaving jobs. It's called corporate inversion. It is crazy. And our politicians don't even know what the word means. Okay.
Yeah. Stephanie wants to know about H-1B visas. So this is a big one in San Diego. So the owner of Qualcomm, which is San Diego's biggest employer, Erwin Jacobs, huge
Right.
Hillary Clinton supporter. She
Right.
comes out there
Why
once a
not?
year for a big for a big fundraiser. And they're big with H-1Bs, and they're making their employees train the foreigners coming in.
And
What do you
then
think about
fire
H-1B?
their employees.
Absolutely.
And I've heard it. I've heard it with Disney. I've heard it with a number of
Hillary
companies.
Clinton
It's happening.
supporters.
It ends. Okay?
Yeah.
It ends. See, the beauty is he supports Hillary Clinton. So when he goes to her and he says, do this, she's like a puppet. She does it. She does whatever he tells her. With me, I'm going to do the right thing. I'll do the right thing. But when Erwin or any of the, I know most of them, when they give lots of money to these people, these characters that are running, politicians, I mean, I don't say they're all the same. Some are better than others. But, you know, basically they live for their donors and their lobbyists and their special interests who give them the money to run. With me, I'm not using their money. I don't want their money. I'll tell you what. So Bush has $125 million, which he spent tremendous right now. He has $125 million. A lot of it's been spent. He's doing commercials all over the place. He's going down instead of up, okay? You know, it just tells you advertising maybe isn't everything because he's spending so much money. But he is so beholden to the people that gave him that money. In my case, I think I've spent less than anybody, or just about, and I have the best results. So I have the least money spent, and the best. I thought I'd be up to about 25, 30 million by now, Michael. I spent like practically nothing, and I'm leading. There's something really nice about that, right? At first I was embarrassed. I said, you know, we should take hands. They said, well, you don't need them. I said, yeah, but we should because it's embarrassing. I haven't spent any. So I've spent very little money. Hillary spent millions and millions. Jeb Bush has spent, what, $38 million or something.
Crazy.
I spent almost nothing. Now, I will spend. But I thought by now I'd have 25 to 30 million spent. I thought by now I'd have 20 some odd $million in advertising. I haven't spent anything. I think I've spent no money on advertising, no money, zero money on television ads.
Wow.
Now, in a way, you know, that's because I work hard and I've gotten a lot of free television because I'm good for ratings. The ratings go up when I go on, so they give me a lot
And
of
they
free
come to you. They come to your tower.
Well, if I'm on Fox or I'm on CNN or I'm on MS, any of them, and the entire thing is on Trump, it's like if I put an ad in, people would OD, they'd get sick. They wouldn't be able to watch it. Because they'd say, oh my God, no, I got to watch, I just watched him, now I'm going to watch the commercial. And then they say more Trump after the commercial. So, you know, I thought I'd have 25 million spent by now, and I've spent almost practically nothing. Pretty amazing.
I love when you're on CNN and the rest, and you say that. You say, I'm here because your ratings are huge. You love me, and they hate when you say that.
And the ratings, look, they had 24 million people on Fox for the debate. If I wasn't, and I'm not saying this braggingly, I'm just saying it, you know, this is the big magazines, the entertainment magazines reported it. So if I wasn't there, let's say they'd have 2 million, 3 million, 1 million, 5 million, okay, whatever. 24 million was the largest in the history of cable television. CNN had 23 million a couple of weeks later. CNN had 23 million. That was the largest number. Now, they cover wars, they cover huge events, right?
Elections, yeah.
Elections.
Yeah, election day,
By the
yeah.
way, not only elections, they cover elections the night before the election and the night of the election. Okay, and they cover debates a week before. This is a debate that's a year away, more than a year away. Whatever. So CNN had 23 million views. That was the largest event in the history of CNN. Now, if I wasn't, I'm not saying this braggingly, I'm just saying it as a fact. If I wasn't in that debate, they would have had a few million people.
Sleepy and sweaty. Is
Well,
what
you
they
know,
would have
nobody
seen.
even wanted the debates. You know, in the old days, nobody wanted the debates. And last cycle, the debates didn't do well. They did very poorly. And the networks, I think they were forced, weren't they forced to take them? They were
Yeah.
forced, you know, because they have licenses, they were forced to take them. So they do 23, Fox does 24. One's a world record. I mean, one's a record, bigger than football games.
Yeah.
And the other one is the biggest, think of though, 23 million, the biggest in the history of CNN. And they made a fortune because they used to get 4,000 and they were asking for 250,000. So from 4,000 to 250,000 for a 30-second spot, they made a fortune. And I think they should give a lot of that money, frankly,
Well,
to the vets.
I'll tell you my way over here because I promoted that I was going to be chatting with you in this live signing here on the radio, and I was in the TSA line, and I said something, and she goes, "Oh, you're Mike. You're going to go interview Donald Trump." And I said, "Sure I am." And you know what she said? The next thing, tell him not to do the debate and give that money to Wounded
Okay,
Warriors.
so here's the problem. If I don't do it, they'll say I'm chicken.
Yep.
And, you know, I'm leading by a lot, and if I don't do it, I have a chance maybe of not leading by a lot and losing. And I'll do better for the vets and better for the Wounded Warriors if I win, because that's much bigger money we're talking about, and it's going to be a much more important. I don't want to put myself in a position where I play cool. I think they might probably pay if I want to do it, but the problem I'll have is these other candidates that are running against me, some of whom I respect and, you know, a number of whom I have zero respect for. But I don't want to be in a position, Mike, where I don't do it. The mainstream media says, "Oh, Trump was chicken. He didn't do it. He didn't want. It was just an excuse."
Yeah.
That's what will happen.
Yeah.
And I might see those big ratings go down the tubes. I don't think.
I don't
Do you
think so.
do you agree with
I
that?
don't think so.
Oh,
I think
well,
peop-
what do you think?
I think people would respect your strength yet again. True to his word.
Well-
And you know you would get press. Every single byline
You're right.
would say the debate went fine but it was missing frontrunner Donald
Well,
Trump.
no, they would have tens of millions fewer people.
Every article would be about you though.
They'd have millions. You're right.
Even if you weren't there. You'd undercut them, you wouldn't even be there.
I have to tell you,
You'd be the headline.
you're right. But I don't want to take a chance. Does that make sense to you? I'd be the headline.
You'd be every headline, you wouldn't
So
even have
do
to
you like it
anything.
better?
I don't think you should show up.
Really? Well, he's a big conservative, very
I
successful.
think you know what you do? We have another
He's the
live
king of San
signing.
Diego, right?
You have another live signing event. Instead, more people will watch this than will watch the debate anyway.
true.
Let's take a phone call here. Let's go to, and we got King of San Diego on the radio, or on record, right? Do we have,
You're the king. He's the king of San Diego.
there he is. There's the man. Let's try, Todd. Oops. Took too long to decide. Let's go to Todd in Florida. When's the last time you were home in Florida, Mr. Trump?
Not too much. I love Florida. You know, I'm leading against Rubio and
Amazing.
Bush
Come on.
by a lot in Florida.
This is Todd in Florida.
Hello.
Hey, is this Todd?
Hi, Mike.
Hey,
how are
Todd.
you?
How are you today,
Hello,
sir?
Todd.
Good. Hi, Mr. Trump. How
I
are
was
you?
saying, did you recognize that guy's voice?
Oh, I sure do. Yeah. You guys are doing a great job tonight,
Oh, thanks,
Thank
bro.
you. Thank you.
Do
especially in the
you,
back. In the back.
especially what?
In the back, your assistants are doing great.
Oh.
They're doing good. Yeah,
Look at that. Look at Todd.
we're knocking them out here, Todd.
Well done, Todd. Do you have a question for Mr. Trump?
Yes, I do. Yeah, thanks for taking it. Okay, my wife and I consider ourselves hardworking Americans. We're in our 30s. We're saving for our retirement and our children's college tuition now. My question is, if elected, Mr. Trump, what is your plan to prevent Americans from falling prey to higher taxes and rising tuition costs so that it doesn't compromise our ability to save?
Well, we're going to take care of the taxes because in my plan, I give the biggest tax reduction. We simplify the tax code, but by far the biggest tax reduction, and you and I have discussed that, Michael, and you're going to be very happy. You're going to pay a lot less taxes, and so are corporations going to pay less taxes.
Well, if your tax rate goes down and you saved a couple $1,000s, where would you put that money, Todd?
Into my daughter's college tuition fund.
Wow, you love your family, Todd, huh? That's
Yeah,
great.
well, you have to.
You know the
It's
sad
important.
thing? No, you do have to, and there's nothing more. And by the way, I always say the people that are happiest are not the richest people. They're the people that love their family and have a great family. It sounds like you have a great family.
I do, thank you.
You know, the people that got treated the worst and that did the worst are the people that played the game the way it was supposed to be played. People like Todd. They saved their money, they worked hard, they got the mortgages down, all of these things, and in the end, they were going to put their money in the bank and they were going to live off their interest. There was only one problem: there's no interest. In CDs now, I'm getting like nothing. The banks don't even want the money. And those are the people that got really hurt. People that overextended, they have big mortgages on the houses. The banks came in, renegotiated a lot of those deals. The people like Todd that did it the old-fashioned way, the way you were supposed to do it. You understand what I mean by that, Todd, right? They got
Yes,
hurt
I
the
do.
worst. They got hurt the worst. And now he's looking at college tuition. The colleges are rocketing that number up.
Yeah. It's like 60 grand a year. It's outrageous.
The numbers have gone up so fast, and the reason is because the federal government loans money to students. The students pay the money to the college. Essentially, the federal government is paying for it, and the students are getting killed. It's
The
very
colleges
unfair.
pocket the money.
And you look at what some of these top administrators, is that right? Because I have one of the great geniuses over here who knows more about that business than anybody. Am I right?
You're right.
You look at the kind of money some of these administrators are making and others, it's unbelievable. And we're going to look into that.
Todd, did you buy Crippled America?
I did.
So after you read it, who do you think you're going to give it to first?
Who am I going to give it to?
Who do you want to read it the most that you know?
Well, probably any friends that would like to read it, they can read it. Yeah, definitely.
I'd say give it to the biggest Hillary supporter you know.
The main thing is for you to read it, Todd.
After
Okay?
you read it.
Did you read it yet,
Well,
Todd?
that's the main thing. The main thing is, all honesty, I'm undecided right now. And I want to learn about the candidates, and I want to hear from their mouths. I want to hear what they have to say.
Good.
Undecided, Mr. Trump.
Wow.
Sorry, I don't mean to break the chain.
Yeah, you know what? That's fine, Todd, and you'll make your decision, whoever it is. The main thing, you get out and vote and do it, but you want to make the right decision. Very important.
Yeah.
I think this book will help you. Todd, I appreciate
Thanks
that
a lot,
very much.
Todd.
Thank you, Todd. And this book will help because it's your entire agenda, basically, right here.
Very much.
200
yeah.
pages, the whole thing. Everyone wonders, oh, what are you going to do specifically? Here it is. Here are the specifics right here.
Lot of ideas.
Let's do one last specific here because we're running out of time, Mr. Trump, and you got a couple thousand more books to
Good.
sign.
I'm going to sign actually for quite a while.
Sign them all night.
Might as well.
Let's try to go quick here. We got a couple more minutes. This is from Joseph, Mr. President to be. In your first weeks in office, can you give us a short list of your prioritized actions? Let's go number 1 and number 2. Day 1, number 1.
Okay,
number 2.
I end the executive order where people can just flow into the country. I do a big number on Obamacare. We knock the hell out of it, and we get great health insurance. We strengthen up the military. We take care of our vets. I get great people in to run the VA. We're going to strengthen that up. We're going to take care of our vets. And frankly, so much more. I'm also going to bring in some of my geniuses to make sure that we don't lose money and don't get scalped by all the countries that are killing us. And I mean, we have such a list of things. I could answer that question for the next 20 minutes.
And that's all day 1. Wait till you hear day
It's-
2.
There are so many things. And, then you get down to the fraud and the waste and the abuse and all of the problems within all of the agencies. I want to make education local. I want to get rid of Common Core because our educational system is a disaster.
A great chapter in here about
And we're going to save the Second Amendment. Remember that. The Second Amendment is so important. You look at what happened in Paris. You look at what went on in Paris where, one of the toughest gun laws in the world, okay, where you can't have a gun. These people were like, these various places where they did the shooting, they were like sitting ducks. Nobody had a gun. If a couple of people like me, I'm licensed to carry in New York. Can you believe
Hard
this?
to do.
Not easy.
Yeah.
But if a couple of people in that room had guns, it would have been a whole different story.
Mm-hmm.
They were like sitting ducks. Come on over here, boom. Come on over, boom. Just one after another like that. And if some people had guns, it would have been a whole different story.
So what happened in San Bernardino the other day? Right away, O'Malley, Bernie, Hillary, the president. Before we even knew who did it, Mr. Trump, gun control. Blood on the hands of the NRA. Do you think that's true?
Well, that looks like another Islamic disaster. I mean, frankly, it looks like it turns out to be another terrorist deal. Hard to believe, right?
Yeah.
No matter where you look, it's the same thing. And then when I say we have to practice vigilance, and we have to look at people, and whether you're looking at mosques or not, we have to be smart. They want to be so politically correct. But here's another case where it's Islamic terrorism.
No, people got upset when you said look at mosques. What do you mean?
You have to look at them. You have to be vigilant. You have to look. I mean, there's something wrong, something going on, all right? Something going on. You look at what's going on, and you look at this horrible terrorism that's going all over the place, and we have to be vigilant, and we have to be smart. We can't allow ourselves to be just decimated. And, you know, I have friends that are Muslims. They're very nice people, but they understand there's a big problem. We have a big problem. And so do other countries, by the way. They have a big, big problem. And some of them don't even know it yet, but they're going to find out.
Nancy, your favorite founding father. What's your favorite founding father?
Well, I don't know. You know, we have a lot of great founders. I'd like to ask you, who is your favorite founder? You're a big conservative guy. You're highly respected. Who is yours? And tell me why.
Probably Jefferson.
Well, Jefferson's
because he
always-
wrote.
I like him because he has the property right next to mine in Virginia. You know?
Is that right?
Yeah, right.
You're right next to him.
Where I actually I bought it out of a distress deal, if you can believe it, a few years ago when the prices were very low. And it's now the Trump Winery in Virginia.
There you
And
go.
I'm right next to Jefferson's magnificent place. It is so beautiful. So I like Jefferson too. But
kidding.
why do you like
And,
Jefferson?
Well, he, among other reasons, wrote the Declaration of Independence when he was 32.
Yeah, it was
he was
pretty
a
big.
young man.
Pretty big, right?
Young man.
He was young. He had a hell of a life, I will say. He was a great one. I agree with you.
Do we have to about wrap? Are we almost done? Let's do one more because I know in your book
Okay.
you talk about LAX. This is Shane. Do you have plans to repair and upgrade America's outdated road, air, and rail infrastructure?
Well, that's part of the problem, Jane. We have the worst infrastructure we've had in 100 years. Our roads are falling apart. Our airports are catastrophic. Our schools, everything. You look at everything. We have to now spend money in our country. We have to rebuild our infrastructure, and we have to do it right. And we have to stop. We're spending trillions. I mean, the money we're spending in Afghanistan, and you know what? Leave some vigilance, leave some soldiers, be smart. But it's time that we spend money in our country. We have to rebuild our country. We have to rebuild our military. We have to have people that know what they're doing. We have people that truly don't have a clue.
Livesigning.com right now. You're signing them right this second.
I am
This is
indeed.
people's last chance to buy as many as you can while he's still signing them, right? So this is it. You buy it now. You got 4 minutes
Christmas.
in order to get him to sign it. Otherwise, I'll be signing them, and no one wants that, Mr.
And we're
Trump.
going to have them to you by Christmas,
Yeah,
right?
get them to you by Christmas. We'll get them under the tree. We'll have them all like there. You have to wrap them. Sorry, we can't do everything for you, but Donald Trump will sign it for you, and you can have it under the tree, and you can give many of them for gifts for the end of the year. And can you believe it? We got how many? 55, 56 days till Iowa, something like that.
Yeah, we have
right around the corner, Mr. Trump.
Like 2 months, and it's going to be great. And we're leading in Iowa, and the people in Iowa are fantastic. And we're leading in New Hampshire, and we're leading in South Carolina. We're leading everywhere. Going to be interesting.
What's your final pitch for this book? When someone reads it, what do you want them to walk away thinking?
Well, as I said, it's one of the books I'm most proud of. It's very tough. It's very nasty. The picture is the worst picture I've ever taken because we call it Crippled America, right? So we're Crippled America, so I couldn't have a big smiling face.
It's true.
But it's it truly is. I mean, we had a great photographer sent up by Simon & Schuster, fabulous, fabulous photographer. And he took all these beautiful pictures. And this one I wasn't prepared for, and it was a nasty picture. I said, let's use that one.
What were you thinking of right there?
Well, I
Hillary?
was thinking I was thinking about something.
Another
but
4 years
I think
of Obama?
I think I wasn't ready for the picture. And I said, that picture goes with the title. Look, I talk about the fact that we are in deep trouble. I also tell how to fix it. And it's actually a very positive book. Doesn't sound it based on the title of that picture.
Well, the second title, How to Make America Great Again.
It's so true. You know, my whole theme is how to make America great again. We will make America great again, and we're going to do it together. There's such unbelievable spirit. We have an unbelievable country, and if we had the right leader, and I will do some job, I'm going to make people so proud of this country and proud of me, but forget me. I'm going to make people proud of this country.
Where'd you come up with the slogan, Make America Great?
It was just something I thought of. And Ronald Reagan had something similar, I found out later. His was, let's make America great. And mine's make America great. I like mine better, but mine's better for today.
Yeah.
Because, frankly, he might have not been able to use that then because the word again is a tough word.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great slogan, and it really has resonated. We sell the hats on DonaldJTrump.com.
Yep.
and the hats are going through the roof. You can't get them. It's been an amazing experience. I've had a lot of fun. I've met some tremendous friends. I mean, I really have made so many friends out on the trail. And again, tomorrow I'm going to North Carolina. It's going to be packed. Every place is packed. So there's a great feeling, and you have done a great job tonight, and I appreciate it, Michael.
Appreciate you for your time, sir. You know, you're a busy man. 90 minutes to give to you all here. This is it. Livesigning.com. Last chance. We're going to keep signing here until your very last book is ordered. So let's do it right now. The man, the next president of the United States, Mr. Donald Trump.
Thank you very much, Michael.
Thank you, sir.
Fantastic job.
What a pleasure.
You're really
Thank you, sir.
fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Livesigning.com.